Well, Linda, thank you so much for being here with me on the Entrepreneurial Success Podcast. I'm really excited to have you here because yet again, we are going to talk about LinkedIn. And you and I already have had a conversation before about LinkedIn, but I find it is so valuable that I wanted to share it with the audience here today. But before we get started, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Okay, well, thank you very much for inviting me onto the podcast, Henriette. So I'm Linda Huckle. I'm known as LinkedIn Linda, and I run a LinkedIn training and strategic consultancy based in Camberley in Surrey. And I've been doing this particular business for, it's just coming up 7 years actually. So yes, it's been quite a while.
I can imagine. Oh my gosh. And all the experience you've gained over these 7 years with LinkedIn in particular. And let's face it, you know, with all of these kind of platforms, there's constant changes and constant new things that needs to be applied. But this is where I get really excited because you've got some great stuff that you're going to share with us, and particularly some of those new features, etc.
Yes.
But one of the things that I always love sharing is everybody's success story. How they got started, how their journey has evolved to where they are now. So what did that look for you when you started your business?
Okay, well, actually, if I go back just one little step further, so my background has always been in the training field. So without going back to when I was 16, because I left school at 16 and started work in an insurance company, which is completely different, obviously, to what it is I'm doing now. And I've done all sorts of jobs. I used to work at BT, selling phone systems, and I was a dental nurse as well for a period of time. The biggest job for me, or the most important job, if you like, is bringing up the family. Once they had grown up, I started working part-time in a school, and in that school I was assisting special needs children, hearing impaired children, and people with emotional behavioural difficulties. They were teenagers, and it was at the start when computers were becoming more in use, if you like, and LinkedIn hadn't even been thought of then. I mean, I'm going back years, but it was from that particular part of my life that one of the teachers who I was helping in the classroom recognised something in me. I don't know whether you've heard of the Johari window, have you? Where you?
No.
So the Johari window, I'll go off on one now.
No, please, by all means, I'm intrigued.
No, it's quite interesting. It's a quadrant. If you can think of 4 different quadrants. So there are things that are known to you, things that are known to others but not to you, things that are known to you but not by others, things that are known by no one. And at the time when I did this particular job, I was working in this school, and the teacher said to me, gosh, you know, you've got a real talent with helping people with technical things like computers. Have you ever thought about teaching? And I thought, no, never. But then, having thought about it, I realised that during previous career in BT, I used to help people and train people to use we went from paper-based stuff into computer-based stuff. So I was a part of the training team. When I was a dental nurse, I was training people in the surgery to use their computer system. So when I thought back about it, I thought, actually, I have always done training of some sort throughout my life. So anyway, to cut a very long story short, I decided, yes, I would investigate this. I went to Adult Education College, and I did a 2-year course, a teaching and training diploma on how to teach adults IT skills. And from that's where my love of training people and adults was born. Of course, LinkedIn was still not on the scene then, but so I was training people on using Word and Excel and PowerPoint, and my class of recycled teenagers, which are retired people. So I helped them to use computers right from scratch. And because of that experience, once I then moved on to my next role, which was as an IT trainer, and then became a leadership and development coach at a university, that was my main role for about 15 years. It was then that LinkedIn was then introduced in about, how long ago was it? That was 2003 when LinkedIn was first sort of out in the world. I started using it personally myself in around 2008 and started to train both the staff and some of the students in the university on how to use LinkedIn as part of their job search, as part of career development. And it was from then that once I then left the university and started my own business, that LinkedIn was the thing that people actually wanted to know about more than anything else. They weren't interested, actually, small businesses in the other parts of work that I was doing, which was presentation skills, team development work. There was a bit of there were a lot of people in the market doing that at that time, but no, it was LinkedIn that people were interested in, how to use LinkedIn for business. So it was that I decided I would niche in, and that is really where my love of LinkedIn came from. And I just really enjoy training people to use it. I see so many of these, these pings, these light bulb moments go ping, 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 ping when I'm working with people. And that's what I really, really enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing better than seeing people succeed because of something small, maybe, that you've helped them with.
Yeah. And I find it fascinating because this is what makes everybody so unique within their business. It's that journey that you're going on. I mean, you've had so many different things that you did, but it shapes you and it forms you, and you really learn what skills you have, what skills you don't have, which is equally important, but which ones then to build up on, and for other people to sometimes point that out to you, which is also required because other people see things, like you just said, in that quadrant. Other people see things that you yourself don't realize. And I love that. I love you sharing your story because, again, it just shows that it's not a be-all and end-all decision you make as to whether direction you head in life. There's always paths that you're going to take, and it's going to lead you to where you are now. Heavens no, LinkedIn might not exist in 3 to 5 years' time, and something else might take over. And then, again, that is another area for you to develop and grow into. But I love you sharing your story, and it's so lovely to hear. And in particular, when we are talking about LinkedIn, I think this is something that fascinates a lot of people, but also because people find that there are so many platforms available. They want to be on all of it, but they don't give the real attention to the real ones that matter for them and of where their clients really hanging out. So let's start talking about LinkedIn. I think this is where everybody is grabbing their little notepads and their pens now, because they're going, okay, tell me about it. Talk to me about those. You mentioned earlier the LinkedIn light bulb moments. Talk to me about a couple of those light bulb moments.
Okay. Well, I think the first light bulb moment is for people who they realize that suddenly LinkedIn is not, as many people still think, actually, it is not an online CV platform. It isn't a place that you're going to be writing about yourself as though you're going for a new job. Yes, of course, there is a place for that, because LinkedIn, there's still a large part of LinkedIn that people will use as part of their job search journey. But there is a different way of writing your LinkedIn profile, whether or not you're looking for a new job, whether or not you're in business, whether or not you're employed. It isn't about this formal feel. It is very much about the person. And the light bulb moments that I get when I'm working with people, when they suddenly realize, oh, that's what that means. This is what we need to be doing in LinkedIn. LinkedIn really isn't a place for you to be writing more formally about your experience and your profession. This is about for you to share your journey. It is to share, particularly for small businesses, telling people about why you're doing what you're doing. rather than, this is what I do on my business. I might easily just say, I'm a LinkedIn trainer and contact me for more information. It isn't that at all. It is sharing that journey, sharing your motivation, and building that know, like, trust factor right from the very start, which I think is vitally important. I don't know whether you know, but when people are searching for you in, let's say, a big search engine like Google or Bing, if you've got a LinkedIn profile, your LinkedIn profile will show right at the very top of the search results. And it tells you far more about that person than as if you were to look at their website, for example, because it's more personal. And it gives people a real insight into what you do, because it's not just the profile, it is how you're interacting with your the people, with your LinkedIn community. People can see the activity that you're undertaking, and that gives people that real insight into you, so they can help you can help to build rapport with them through that activity.
I think it's really important what you're saying, because I think there is this misconception with LinkedIn about having a formal CV on there if you're obviously looking to get employed. But I think what you're saying works very much hand in hand with now being a business owner, being an entrepreneur. There's this element of obviously writing a formal CV, but when you're a business owner, it becomes more personal. That's and right. It's about dropping basically all the formalities, but making it more personal and authentic, because that's what people want these days. They don't want things to be perfect. They want authenticity, especially in the online world.
Precisely. Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's very much about the way I approach LinkedIn is like it's a big networking group. So when it's like when you walk into a networking group and you see people and you make connections with them and you get to know them and you're finding out about them and sharing ideas, and you might help them, give them some tips and advice. This is what LinkedIn is all about. It is about it's about a LinkedIn social network. At the end of the day, that is what it's all about.
No, it's amazing. Yeah. What other light bulb moments do you have to share with us then?
Now somebody said to me, in fact quite a few people say to me, oh gosh, you don't know what you don't know until you know. And it is because LinkedIn is so huge, and it really is. It isn't just about the profile. It isn't just about content. It is about all the other little nuances that go into it. The communicating, the collaboration, the way that you can make and build a really quality network of close connections who you can share information with. Once people actually see that, that is a huge light bulb moment for them. And when they realise LinkedIn isn't for selling.
Yeah.
It isn't. Because the magic happens. If you're going to, you think about the typical customer journey, you don't sell as soon as you meet somebody. It isn't the done thing. It's not the done thing in LinkedIn either. So you build that communication, you build that relationship with people, and you use all sorts of different techniques within LinkedIn to do that, whether or not you're engaging in their content, whether or not you're direct messaging them, or the best thing is actually picking up the phone and having that conversation, because you've built that relationship within LinkedIn itself. So that when people start realizing, right, so it is a means to having that, if you like, it's a bit like a sales conversation that you may be having, but it isn't a sales pitch. That is a big light bulb moment that people will get.
So it's really about the mindset, about your approach coming into using LinkedIn. What is your approach coming into LinkedIn? How are you going to use it? And I do agree with you that networking is one of the most important aspects. And we're not talking about networking to make sales. That will eventually follow. But you don't have to force that, because that will happen through networking with people, building relationships, getting referrals. That's the power of networking. And that is just basically, like you say, in a concept, that's what you need to do on LinkedIn, because that's a platform that makes it available online.
Yeah. I'm a big advocate of organic growth and organic marketing through networking, whether or not that's online or whether or not that's offline as well. I'm a big advocate of both. And I do feel that that does make a huge difference. Of course, LinkedIn does have a paid version, though, which is, strangely enough, it is called the Sales Solutions, where you can get your Sales Navigator. You can have premium accounts as well. But it is still, the emphasis of that is still to find people, to find who the list of leads, to find a list of people that you may be able to communicate with. Not pitch to.
One of the things you said that you're going to give us is a couple of quick tips, and you're also going to talk to us about some of the new features about LinkedIn. And I think this is really important, because if you can share some really good tips with the audience about what they can do, because now we kind of have the goal now about how they need to use LinkedIn. But let's talk about a couple of tips as to what they can then say start working on or putting into action in order to reach that goal.
Okay, well, I think the main thing and the main tip I would give, and I do share this freely anyway, is about how you can engage in your LinkedIn community. So I want to, let's put this into context. Let's think about a story here. Okay, let's take the example of you and a photographer as an example. It could be that you've become aware of this particular photographer, and you'd really like to communicate with her, and you would like to have a conversation with her, but you don't know her and you've never met her before. So using LinkedIn, the first step in the process is to view her profile. Have a look. I'm using the word her, it could be him as well, but have a look at the profile and start to get to know that person. Look for some commonality. Perhaps she's from a similar place to you. Perhaps she has shared some content which is really interesting. Perhaps she knows other people who you're already connected to. It's possible. Perhaps she has commented on other people's posts. This is a huge amount of data that you can find in LinkedIn about this person just by viewing their profile, just to get to know them a little bit. Once you've done that, instead of then pinging off a connection request straight away, what you would do is you would go to her articles section, articles and activity section, which is, it's located just below the dashboard. You'd look at the articles, you'd look at her activity. She may not write in the articles, but I'm sure she's got some activity there, likes or comments in particular. Starts the bit from posts. So she may be sharing the posts, some content of her own. Perhaps she's sharing video, or maybe she's sharing a document, which is real use to you, or gives you some value, or shares some tips. So this is the sort of thing you do. You go to her activity section and you look and see what it is that she's engaging with. You can then go to her posts from her activity section, and you can start to add a like or a comment. And then you would start doing that on a frequent basis, so that you are not stalking her, you are engaging with her. Once you've engaged with her a couple of 3 times, then is the right time to then send her a connection request. And you've got something there that she's going to recognize you when you come up in her network. And she can say, ah, yes, now I recognize this person. So when you're sending the connection request, you mention a post she's written, some activity she's been involved in. Maybe you'll congratulate her on an achievement, or creating a new service, or whatever it is that she's sharing in her profile. And that gives you your in, that gives you something that she is then able to then come back to and respond to. And too many people will just click that connect button, send off a request, and then sit back and wait, rather than making the effort to personalize that note to them. And that is your very first step in the customer journey, because you're already getting to know people through that. You know, and I think that that's really important.
Yeah, because it's not just about connecting with people randomly and just growing a network. It's about connecting with the right people. And I think this is also really important, because once you have really gone through that person's profile, you really looked at the articles, you know, posts that they have, then you really get a good sense of that person, who that person is.
Yeah.
In order to make sure, hey, that is somebody that I really want to bring onto my community, or that is somebody that I'd rather want to stay clear of and not connect with. But you don't see that if you just go and hit the connect button.
Precisely. Yes, exactly. And the other reason that you wouldn't just hit that connect button is put yourself at the other side of that. If you're receiving just unpersonalized connection invites, how do you know, especially if you've never met them before, who are they? Why do they want to connect with you? Make it easy for people to say, oh yeah, actually, this is someone I would like to be in my LinkedIn community.
Yeah.
So that's why I would always recommend invite, and when you're sending a connection invite, personalize it and make it clear why you want to connect with them.
Yeah. And it just builds the engagement. It just builds the engagement so much quicker as well.
It does, yeah. And the other thing, you know, on the same topic really, which is about connections, is when you're receiving invites from people, if you know who they are, of course, you can accept the request and go back to them and start having a messaging conversation and thank them for connecting. It's fine when you know who that person is. If you don't know who they are or why they want to connect with you, what you can do, especially if they haven't done a personalised note, in your My Network area, at the top right-hand side, it'll say something like manage all or manage all connection. No, I'm sure it just says manage all. Clicking onto that manage all button, what it does is it will open all of your connection requests, and then there'll be a little message button underneath each person's connection request invite. And instead of accepting or ignoring, you can actually click that message. You can send them a message even before you're connecting or accepting their connection request. So you can find out more about them. Just add a little note, something like, thanks very much for your connection invite. I'd be really interested to know what it is that interested you about my profile, or what is your reason for making the connection invite. And people, if they are genuine, if they're not just clicking connect, they're likely to come back to you. And I've made so many good connections that way. It's not everybody understands how to connect in the right way.
I love that, because I even went through a stage where people are wanting to connect with me, and then I go, oh, I'd feel bad if I decline it. And then I connect with them anyway, because it's easy. You just hit a button. And then sometimes you see some of the comments and some of the articles and things come through, and you think like, oh, that is definitely not something I'm interested in. And you're kind of wasting your own time at that sense as well. So I like the fact how you can mitigate between that by not feeling bad by declining them, or not feeling great by accepting them, even though you know they're not the real connection you want, but by seeing how serious they are with connecting with you by just quickly sending them a message.
Yes, precisely. Yeah.
I love it. This is brilliant. Please go on.
Just a conversation, doesn't it? And if people really are not that bothered, if they have just literally gone through the My Network and gone connect, as lots of people unfortunately do, If they don't come back to you, that's fine. But by you going back to them, you're showing that you've shown interest.
Yeah.
Always look at their profiles first before you
Yes.
do that.
Yeah.
Just to make sure. And the reason I'm sharing this particular little snippet with you is that you can get caught out. We can all get caught out by doing this. I was very lucky in that I did view somebody's profile. They'd sent me a connection invite. They looked absolutely fine. I looked at their profile and their profile looked fine. I looked at their activity, saw their posts, saw the sort of thing that they were writing about. And actually, this isn't something that I want to be involved in.
No, that's a very fair point. Thank you so much for pointing that out. I think it's like everything. We all need to do our own due diligence and be careful about who we connect with and who we accept in our circle of connections. And I think it's so true what you're saying. We have to do our own homework before just making any connections. Just like anything, I'm not going to go and talk to a stranger and start following a stranger on the street. If he offers me to go take me somewhere, you won't just jump in a car. And it's the same principle online. We all have to be very careful with that. So thank you for pointing that out again. I think it's so important that we all keep being aware of that. Do you have any other tips that you want to share with us? I'm sorry, I'm making notes like crazy here. I love this. I think this is amazing. Or if it's not tips that you want to share with us, any of the new features that we might not know of.
Sure. Well, actually, there's, LinkedIn, I know you said right at the beginning of this, LinkedIn are constantly going through changes. And I often tell people that there are three things that are certain in life: is death, taxes, and changes in LinkedIn. And my word, there has been so many this year, so many. The big difference that is rolling out, and should actually be rolled out to most LinkedIn users now, is a redesign of the platform. So previously, when you were looking at LinkedIn, you had a black menu bar up at the top. That has been redesigned so that it provides more simplicity. It's a cleaner look. It's now a white menu bar with rounded buttons. And LinkedIn are just making a bit of an effort at changing it so it looks more modern. And it's confused a few people because at first it looks, oh gosh, it's all white. I've got used to it now. At first I wasn't sure, but I have got used to it. Everything else is in the same place. But what they have also done is they have changed the default banner, the default background banner with the blue banner with lots of sort of connecting dots.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Yeah, that's now changed as well. So the default banner is now sort of a green and grey, insipid type of swirly thing. It's very strange, but that's how you can tell if people haven't got a personalised, a customised banner. That's what it looks like. And that is another big tip. Always use that banner, that background on your profile, especially as a small business. Customise it, add something in there that's relevant to you and to your business, so that people are looking at it at a glance, that visual at a glance. It's your shop window, really. They can see what it is that you do immediately from that visual look. So that's another change. There's some other things coming in. So I'm just having a look at my my note here. I've got something that is very new. It's just coming out as we're recording this podcast, which is about LinkedIn Stories. So LinkedIn Stories is very new to LinkedIn. It's only available on the mobile app. And if you haven't got it yet, try updating your mobile app and you should see stories featured in your home feed. It hasn't rolled out to everybody yet. It is coming out, and not quite sure how it's going to be accepted or utilised within LinkedIn. It's still very early days, but because it's not going to be available even to view stories on the desktop version, which many professionals will use, I'm not sure yet I'm sort of undecided about whether or not it's something which is a good thing or not such a good thing. But whatever, it is here, and it is here for us to use and to utilize.
Yeah, I've noticed that actually, and last week I used it in particular once, and I put a video on there. But also, I think the video is only 20 seconds or something like that. You can't put a bigger video on it.
Yeah, 20 seconds maximum. And of course, stories will only stay in the feed for 24 hours as well.
Exactly.
But if you're doing video, another little tip from me, if you're doing video, please caption your video, even if they're on those short 20-second stories, because most people will not engage in any video content with the sound turned on. And we also need to be aware of the accessibility options as well. For people who really cannot hear things, we do need to make sure that we are captioning, and use the hashtag, whatever video you're doing. If you are recording video as a regular post, or whether or not you're doing video as a story, or even if you've got a longer YouTube type video that you're providing a link to, always use the hashtag of captioned, because that means that our hearing impaired community, or people who are looking for captioned video, here in their feed.
That's a very great tip. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, so many tips coming from you today.
One other feature which is relevant to business owners in particular, and this is something which is called showcase your services, or providing services, or open to business. Most business owners, UK business owners, will have this in their feed now. If you haven't, then you can request it from LinkedIn Help. But to find it, if you go to the top of your profile, if you haven't got providing services, go to the top of your profile, go to the blue button which says Add Profile section, and look at the intro section, and it should be listed in there as providing services. If it isn't and you would like to use it, it's a brilliant tool for just literally just telling us what services it is that you provide. If you can't see it, you can't locate it, then contact LinkedIn Help, and they will usually enable that for you. A client of mine did this, and it took less than 24 hours. But most people will now have that feature available to them.
That's amazing. I'm definitely going to look at that feature.
Have a look at it, because it is really good. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for saying that. So talk to us a little bit about some of the questions you get, because obviously being a LinkedIn expert, I'm sure that you get so many general questions, people asking you about LinkedIn, how it works, what they need to do. But what are some of the main questions that you get that you can answer here for the audience? So for those still pondering, still faffing about, thinking, oh my gosh, you know, this is great. I've got so many notes, so many tips that I can put in use, but where do I start? What do I do? I still got so many questions.
Well, there, as you say, there are so many questions out there. A regular question I get asked is about messaging, actually, just the LinkedIn messaging. And it is a very simple one. And that's, you know, when you're writing a LinkedIn message to someone, and you're creating a new paragraph within a message, or you're creating a line space, and suddenly it just pings that message off, and then you have to write another one, it pings another one off. You can actually change that in your settings on the message itself. And this is such an easy thing to implement, it really is. So in the message window, again, look for the 3-dot button at the bottom where you write your text, and you can change that from press enter to send, or I forget what the other one is now, but there are 2 different options. Press enter to send is where you would just ping it off, and then the other one is click send, or click to send.
Yeah, I love that. I actually got confused one day because I saw that as well on LinkedIn and I was so happy about it.
Yeah.
And I made the change. So now I can enter, skip a line, put in a paragraph. But then after that, I quickly went into Messenger and there in the same mode of like skipping a line, pressing enter. It's like, oh no, it sent the message on Messenger. I was like, I need to remember LinkedIn offers the feature. Messenger doesn't offer the feature.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, the other things are actually, although it's another tip really rather than a question, but it is sort of related to what I was just talking about. LinkedIn have just introduced being able to send a Zoom link or a Teams link or a Blue Jeans link, a sort of meeting link directly from messaging. So you no longer have to go to Zoom, set up the meeting, then send the link. You can actually do it directly from your messaging window, but you must just connect whether it's you're using Zoom or whether you're using Teams or whether you're using this other thing called Blue Jeans. So that's another really good way to do it. So many people just are unaware that that's even been introduced.
That's really interesting because for me personally, I would have to go into my Zoom account, create the meeting, copy the link, go back into LinkedIn, into Messenger and pop it in there.
Yeah.
But you can connect the two. Oh, that's a great tip. Oh my goodness.
Directly, and that's from both desktop and from mobile version as well. You just got to make sure that the two apps are talking to each other. Yeah.
Amazing. And I'm sure that's very easy to set up. I mean, worst case, go to help and figure out how to do it.
It is. It's very, very straightforward. It's not even worth training somebody to do because it is so straightforward. It's you just follow the directions and it's done. So that's really good. But another frequently asked question I get is this: Linda, is premium worth it?
I think I asked you that question once.
And again, it depends. Honestly, it does depend on what your business is. I would say 80% of business owners really don't need to have premium because they're not using the real version or the free version of LinkedIn in the best way. I think if you're going to be using LinkedIn as part of your lead generation activities, then definitely it is worth looking at, and it is definitely worth trialing. Have a free month and do have a trial and check out all the features, because there are big things that it can do that the free version cannot do. Having said that, there's always little tweaks and little ways to get around it, which I always help my clients to do anyway. But premium for people in business, especially if you've got a marketing presence within your business, then it is worth checking out Sales Navigator, which is the top level of the premium versions, apart from the recruiter version. But Sales Navigator will give you the option to search, really do targeted searches down to 10 miles postal code within your postal code area. It will also give the option to create lists of your leads and lists of the accounts that you want to connect to. And it's got so many, there's loads of other different features that Sales Navigator in particular can give you. There is a lesser priced one, which is called Premium Business. That will not allow you to do lists, but it will still allow you to do unlimited searches, but it won't allow you to do those real targeted searches that Sales Navigator does. But guess what? The free version, LinkedIn have just announced on the free version, they are changing the search feature and they're making it better, which is great. So you will be able to do much better searching using the free version of LinkedIn as well. So
yeah,
but honestly, it does depend. I would say whatever you're doing, do have a conversation with someone who knows LinkedIn. Maybe have a conversation with someone who's using either Sales Navigator or Premium Business to see what it is that they get from it.
Yeah.
Or obviously you can have a conversation with me and I can go through it in more detail with you. But Premium Business, and Sales Navigator are the big things for people who are using LinkedIn as a lead generation activity and a real part of their marketing tool. But most people, honestly, 80% of business owners will never use the enhanced features that Sales Navigator or Premium Business will give them.
Yeah. And I think it's really important to understand as well, for those of you listening in particular, and you're just starting out a business, or you're a small business owner, you don't have to go and spend tons of money, in particular on marketing strategies, marketing platforms and things like this. Like Linda's saying, just using the free version of LinkedIn can be just as powerful. Yes, you are limited because I think you only have a limited amount of searches you can do on the free version, but it doesn't stop you from implementing the right strategy to work with you. And I mean, Linda's given some amazing tips here, which I am fascinated about, and I'm going to go and implement and look at all of them myself. But it is just so nice to know that there's a place like LinkedIn where you can build the right connections, obviously going in with the right mindset that we spoke about earlier on, but then also utilizing it and using it as a strategy in order for you to network properly, build relationships, because that's what it is all about.
It is.
But then looking back at that, choose what works for you. I mean, you could be on so many different platforms, and now we're talking about LinkedIn. You think, oh, do I have to bring LinkedIn on board as well? Yeah. This is where you've got to make a decision. What sits right with you? What sits right with your business? What is aligned with you? But also, it means that if you feel your clients tend to be on LinkedIn, go to LinkedIn. Make that one of your main strategies. Yeah. Maybe let go of Instagram. Maybe let go of Twitter and focus on LinkedIn. It's entirely up to you. We're not telling you what to do. We're giving you some guidelines so you can obviously utilize the best platforms to work with you.
Yeah.
So Linda, I just wanted to say this has been absolutely amazing. I appreciate your time for being here with us. You've given us so much information. I'm sure if I keep you here for another hour, you can give us tons more. But I'm sure you've got a busy day as well, so I'm not going to take up the rest of your time. But I just really wanted to say I appreciate it so much for being here and sharing all of this with the audience. I'm sure that they've made a ton of crazy notes, just like I have. I mean, I had to get another page here just to make all the notes. But I really, really appreciate it. It was so lovely to connect with you again. However, before we go, you've got an amazing freebie that you're making available to the audience so they can go and obviously learn a bit more.
I am.
Tell them about it.
Yeah, well, actually, you've got several freebies, and that's I think the beauty of this is rather than just having a look at one, I've got an area. It's called the Key to LinkedIn Resource Hub, and within here you can download quite a lot of different free resources. So for example, I've got an infographic in there about how to write your about section, make it audience centric. I've got another quite a long document, actually about several pages long. It's a PDF downloadable, how to use LinkedIn as part of your networking, business networking. I'm also, interestingly, putting in a comparison of premium versus free. What you can get, what you can't get, why you might use free. For example, building relationships costs nothing. Use the free version. That's good. But there's several different ones, and I'm going to be continually adding free resources to the Key to LinkedIn Resource Hub. So it is available to you, to anyone really, to download the resources that you would like to use and use them in your LinkedIn journey.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing. Thank you so much for making that available. So for those of you listening or watching this video, the link is below in my show notes. Make sure you go and grab that. And then Linda's website will also be available there for you, and her LinkedIn account, so you can connect with her through LinkedIn. So if you have any more questions for Linda, by all means, connect with her through LinkedIn, send her a message, and I'm sure she'd be more than happy to help you. But no, honestly, definitely go and download or use the button below to go and go into that vault that Linda has with all of those resources, and just go and see how that can help you as well in order to just monetize LinkedIn and use it as one of your main strategies, because I do think LinkedIn is going to become one of those very, very powerful platforms where business is really going to take off through a lot of networking online. Again, Linda, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. You and I will be in touch very soon again, because I'm sure we've got still a lot to chat about, but I really appreciate your time being here with us.
That's all right. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Speak soon. Bye.
Okay, bye.